Hi everybody, happy to see you here again. As I promised you in the last video, today we are going to start a new playlist with tutorials about mending, reconstruction, restorations, fabrics and clothing. Today we are starting with the first one. Just to start with something easy, we are going to reconstruct a hole in the fabric that I have seen during the ironing of the last video. So if you haven't seen it, I recommend I put the links. In a future tutorial I will tell you how to restore tears with sewing machine, so don't miss this tutorial too. I'm Veronica from Salamandra Verde Arts and Crafts, and this channel is all about professional sewing techniques applied to the world of costume and cosplay making. So if you think it's interesting for you, subscribe and ring the bell of notifications so you don't miss anything. And now let's go! In the previous tutorial, when I was ironing the fabric to prepare it for my project, I saw that in the fabric there was a hole, and I've marked it with some basting thread, because if you leave pins inside, it can stain. So remember to not leave pins inside the fabric. This is the result. This is the inside, and this is the outside of the restoration. For this garment I did not make paper patterns, since it is a series of rectangles and stripes, but I made a sketch and I wrote down all the calculations. I put a few pins here and there to hold the fabric in place and drew directly on the fabric with chalk, adding seam allowances. In designing the piece of what I believe is called suican, I realized that the hole would fall right inside on the sleeve. If I have wanted to avoid it, I would have wasted a lot of fabric, so all that remained was to use that piece and rebuild the fabric where the hole was. As you can see, this is only a small piece of the whole fabric, because I started I've cut all the fabric. As you can see here, I have the chalk and the marks, because it's easier to keep in hand one thing instead of the whole fabric. Gently, to avoid moving the fabric underneath, I cut all the pieces. The leftovers of the simil suican were used to obtain the threads to be used to reconstruct the fabric. In this case, the fabric has a very simple weft and wrap design, so it was not difficult to recover long threads. During this operation, it is good to study the design of the fabric in order to recreate it. If you want, you can do some tests on the leftovers, because the first time will not be easy, and with the exercise everything gets better. For the choice of the needle, you have to look at the type of yarn, but I do not recommend you choosing it too long. This is the way to thread the needle we use in the tailor shop where I work, without using saliva. If it does not pass through the needle's eye, I will teach you a trick. Take a thin sewing thread of a very different color and put it in the needle's eye like this. Then pass the yarn of the fabric through the loop you just created. Now pull the sewing thread until the thread passes through the eye. And now recreate the fabric design. In my case, up and down, up and down, up and down. Next thread, down and up, down and up. In this fabric reconstruction technique, I'm a self-taught, but I can tell you that from my experience, I have realized that by working with a few threads at a time and pulling towards you, the fabric becomes more compact. It is important to start a little earlier than where the thread is actually missing, so as to make a hole less visible and more resistant. In some cases, like this one, I prefer to work on the wrong side of the fabric. In other, more complicated cases, I prefer from the right side of the fabric. And there you have it. It takes time and practice, but I saved half meter of fabric. This is the sleeve of Chihiro Cosplay from Spirited Away from Miyazaki, and the hole was just here. I'm going to make more tutorials about mending and fabric reconstructions, but for now I wait for you in the next tutorial that will be about sewing the suican-like garment of Chihiro from Spirited Away. So see you there, and if you liked the video, please let me know. Like and subscribe if you haven't done it yet, and tell me in the comments if something like this is useful for you and if you want more of tutorials like this. I'm waiting for you till the next time. See you!